The 1970s had everything. It was a decade in which disco ruled the dance floor. Bell-bottoms were the height of fashion, and kids' playgrounds? Well, let's just say they were more than simply playgrounds. They were the daredevils' hangout. Forget about safety railings and smooth landings. No helmets or warnings, just plentiful fun and pure adrenaline. We had seesaws that felt like catapults, merry-go-rounds that spun you faster than a roller coaster, and metal slides that could also be used as griddles. Today, we're delving into the most ridiculous and dangerous playground equipment from the 70s. So grab your favorite snack, relax, and let's remember those incredible childhood adventures that shaped who we are today. It's time for some real nostalgia. Number 1. Metal slides that could fry an egg. Alright, let's kick things off with the weird metal slides. You remember them, right? They resembled gleaming silver rockets, ready for us to hop on board. But here's the catch. They weren't just slides. They were blazing thrill rides in the summer sun. Such slides could get as hot as a frying pan. I mean, you could literally boil an egg with these. And let us not forget the landing. If the heat didn't get you, the hard, dry ground certainly did. There are no soft carpets or wood chips, only dirt or concrete ready to catch you. And by catch, I mean bruising your entire body. Kids did everything to beat the heat. Some would throw water down the slide, hoping for a cooler ride. Others would put out towels only to have them slip out from under them halfway down. Of course, there were always the daredevils who plunged down anyhow, their shorts sticking to the metal like toasted cheese. These slides were more than just hot. They had a twisty design with the audacity to make you dizzy. The steeper, the better, correct? Well, until someone gained too much speed and jumped off the end. But hey, if you survived, you sure had a tale to tell. Number 2. The infamous merry-go-round. Ah, the merry-go-round. Just hearing the word conjures up memories of whirling so quickly that you thought you'd found time travel. But let's be honest, this was not a ride for the faint of heart. This whirling marvel could transform any playground into a carnival. This ride was all about speed and thrills. You'd go down with your mates, and someone would begin pushing it faster than a speeding eagle. First, you had to earn your position. If the older children were spinning it, you had to rush alongside and climb on without falling flat on your face. Once on board, you clung on for dear life, because once that wheel began to turn, oh boy, it could not be stopped. The trick was to maintain a state of balance. Lean too far out and you'll feel like you're flying, but let go, forget it. You were devouring dirt and rolling around the playground like a tumbleweed. Let's not forget about the youngsters pushing the contraption. There was always one kid, usually the fastest runner, who considered it his personal mission to reach Mach 10, spinning it faster and faster until everyone on board screamed for it to stop. Of course, stopping wasn't easy. Someone had to hop off to slow it down. What about that person? The actual MVP? Well, there was always a cost involved. They would roll over the ground like stunt doubles in an action film. The merry-go-round wasn't just dangerous, it was unpredictable. One false move and you'll be flying away like a frisbee, but it was totally worth it. A little dizziness and a few bruises are hardly a bad thing, right? Number 3. Seesaws of Doom. The seesaws are the next on the list, and they were a nightmare waiting to happen. These basic boards sent us flying high one minute and crashing down the next. Consider this scenario. 2 youngsters on opposite ends, one smiling and the other wailing as they are hurled into the air. They were like the test of trust. And let's be honest, not everyone passed. These apparently simple playground favorites have a dangerous side, one that might send you into space if your friend didn't care. Every ride was an adventure filled with laughter, and maybe a few tears. Consequently, there were daredevil stunts. Children would attempt to balance exactly in the center or use the seesaw as a launch pad. They'd sometimes stand on the plank for added thrills, which nearly always resulted in someone falling face first into the ground. But it wasn't just about crashing down. Seesaws were also capable of squeezing fingers, legs, or any other unlucky body part that got in their path. Sounds easy, doesn't it? What if the balance was off? Forget it. You'd spend the entire journey hanging in the air. pleading for someone to let you down. Undoubtedly, these seesaws shaped character in ways that only childhood can teach us. They taught us how to take chances and recover from falls, both literally and metaphorically. So here's to the seesaws of doom that made our playgrounds unique. Number 4. Monkey bars that meant business. Moving on, we have monkey bars. Sounds easy, doesn't it? But the ones in the 70s were not for the faint-hearted. I mean, just look at this. These metal bars were not only for swinging, they were like conquering Everest for youngsters. If you could go through them, you felt like a superhero ready to take on the world. These massive steel frames were the ultimate test of courage, balance, and grip strength. But let's be honest, they were also a quick ticket to skinned knees and fractured bones. Here's how things went. You'd climb up, grab those chilly metal bars, and swing from one to the next like Tarzan. It was like you were tree surfing with a simple aim, make it across without falling. But the stakes? Sky high. There was no soft foam surface or rubber mulch beneath you, as there is now. No, that was solid earth, gravel, mud, or perhaps concrete if you were lucky. The real pain was falling from these bars. You were plummeting straight into your back, or worse, your face, if you missed a bar. What about the kids who reached the top? They would frequently sit up there like kings of the jungle, challenging others to ascend and join them. It didn't take long until someone lost their balance and fell. Regardless of the challenges, the monkey bars taught us resilience in ways we did not recognize at the time. Sure, there were bumps and bruises along the road, but each fall strengthened us. We learned how to rise higher and confront our concerns head on. Number 5. Metal swings and concrete bases. Now let's swing into danger with metal swings. These beauties had huge chains that could swing you high in the air, but they also had solid seats that didn't mess about. One moment you're soaring through the air, feeling like Superman. The next, you're falling hard on the harsh earth. Each child had a favorite trick, one of which was the classic jump and land. You'd pump your legs to get higher and higher, feel the wind in your face, and then launch. For a little while, you were airborne. However, if your timing was incorrect, you'd land like a sack of potatoes with scraped knees and wounded pride. Then there came the underdog push. You'd implore a buddy or a sibling to push you as hard as they could, propelling you upward. It was all fun until the swing was too far back and the chains twisted and the seat hit you in the face on the way down. The chairs were merciless. Made of firm rubber or even solid metal, they'd pinch, bruise, or leave you with a painful behind. What if you let go of the chains? Well, gravity was not your buddy. The concrete base added another degree of hazard. Falling off wasn't a small incident. It was a complete crash landing. Parents stared uneasily from the sidelines, ready to intervene with a band-aid or lecture. Modern swings are softer, safer, and less likely to land you in the ER. But where's the fun in that? The swinging 70s taught us one thing. If you're going to soar, you'd best be prepared to crash. Number 6. Giant jungle gyms. Next up are those giant jungle gyms. These were massive metal monstrosities that were stretched up into the sky, just waiting for the children to climb them like monkeys. Their structures resembled a kid's personal skyscraper, challenging them to climb as high as their courage and balance would allow. They were the perfect playground centerpiece, equally exhilarating and horrifying. Climbing up seemed like an adventure. You'd clutch the cold steel bars, slipping as you climbed to the top. Once there, you could view the entire playground. You felt like you owned the playground. But what about the ride down? That is when things got tricky. Climbing down, if you skipped a step or lost your hold, you would definitely crash land on the floor with a hard thud. They were too tall for children. What about the spaces between the bars? Perfect for little hands and feet to become stuck, adding a dimension of drama to an already dangerous ascent. With cushioning lower heights and fewer gaps, modern jungle gyms are safer. But the ones from the 1970s, they were more than simply playthings. Your strength, skill, and bravery were put to the test in these gladiator arenas. Number 7. Concrete animal spring riders. If you've ever ridden a spring rider, you understand the joy of bouncing back and forth on a goofy-looking animal. But what about the ones from the 1970s? They were not adorable, and they were certainly not safe. These were massive concrete structures set on gigantic springs. It was like balancing joy and pain. The concept was straightforward. You stepped on, gripped the handlebars, and swayed back and forth like you were riding a wild stallion. But here's the catch. Those springs were unexpected. If you leaned too far forward or back, the entire structure would shatter with enough power to nearly throw you off. The concrete element adds an additional dimension of risk. These playground equipment were designed to last, not to cushion. If you slipped off, and let's face it, everyone has, you landed hard. Whether it was the ground or the concrete rider itself, the outcome was typically the same. Bruises, scratches, and sometimes a rip or two. Let's not ignore the squeeze factor. Those springs were not covered, so if your fingers, or worse, your legs got entangled, you were in for a world of hurt. The squeaky sound of the spring was the sole warning before the fatal snap. You felt the pain by just listening, right? Number 8. Wooden play forts with nails galore. To ease your pain a little bit, let's talk about wooden play forts. They were like the ultimate hideouts for kids everywhere. They were multi-level castles, pirate ships, and tree houses that allowed children to let their imaginations run wild. But what lies underneath the charm? A minefield of perils. First, let's talk about the construction. Well, that was what made it a parent's nightmare. They were made from untreated wood, which meant only one thing: splinters. One false move and you'd be stuck with a wooden keepsake in your hand for the rest of the day. What about the nails? They were all over the place, whether they were loose on the stairs, protruding from corners, or just wanting to grab your clothes or skin. The forts themselves were flimsy at best. Climbing to the summit seemed like ascending a creaking ladder, with each step threatening to give way. Once you arrived, the railings, if they existed, were more ornamental than useful. One slip and you're crashing into a mound of gravel or dirt. Rain also didn't help. Even the most straightforward play session became disastrous. Slip and slide when wet wood turned into slick wood. Even if you were fortunate enough to escape a fall, you still needed to be on the lookout for wasps or other animals that may settle in the numerous cracks throughout the fort. These days, wooden play forts have reinforced constructions, polished surfaces, and safety regulations. However, in the 1970s, they resembled backyard obstacle courses more than anything else. Have fun? Of course. Secure? Not even close. Number 9. Barrel rollers. Let's roll into another wild ride, the barrel rollers. Can you imagine children running around on a wheel just like these hamsters? Well, barrel rollers were meant for children to run onto. Sounds like fun, right? It was, until the inevitable wipeout. They challenged the kids to test their bravery and balance. The idea behind it was simple. You would climb on, begin jogging, and try to keep the barrel spinning without losing your balance. It was easier said than done. The majority of kids only lasted a few seconds before their feet slid out from under them, sending them tumbling to the hard concrete below, or worse, onto the barrel itself. Then there were collisions. Barrel rollers were not designed for collaboration. If more than one child attempted to climb on, it frequently resulted in a pileup, twisted limbs, and much finger-pointing over who was to blame. The risk was not limited to tumbling off. The barrel's edges were generally constructed of rough wood or metal. One misstep and you may get scratches, bruises, or worse. And what if you managed to hang on? The mere effort of maintaining your equilibrium made you dizzy and fatigued, wobbling around like you'd just gotten off a carnival ride. Personally, they appear to be the worst playground innovation ever, but do tell us what you think. Number 10. Dangerous zip lines. Finally, let's dive through hazardous zip lines. These were makeshift rides supported by questionable methods. Kids would tie ropes between trees, expecting a spectacular trip through the skies, but things often didn't always go as planned. They were improvised death traps, frequently erected by well-intentioned fathers or playground enthusiasts with more zeal than skill. Kids would clamber onto an unsteady platform, grab the handle, and take off. The rush of wind, the sensation of flight, it was pure bliss, until it was not. What's the problem, you could ask? There were no brakes, no harness, and absolutely no gentle landings. Most zip lines terminated abruptly, sending kids smashing into the trees, the ground, or whatever was in their way. If you don't time your release correctly, you may wind yourself face first in the dirt, or worse, tangled in the rope itself. And let's not ignore the problematic construction. The wires were frequently old and rusted, the platforms unsteady, and the grips prone to cracking under strain. Parents may have been around, but they weren't hovering. It was the 1970s after all, and youngsters were expected to sort things out for themselves. So there you have it, a crazy glide via memory lane. The 1970s playgrounds were chaotic, hazardous, and memorable. A mix of pure magic and a little mayhem. Sure, we got some bumps and bruises, but we also had plenty of fun tales, stories of flying off merry-go-rounds, blazing down slides, and overcoming monkey bars. So what are your favorite playground memories? Did you survive a seesaw prank or fall off from the jungle gym? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Plus, don't forget to like and subscribe for more nostalgic fun. Until next time, keep it groovy.